Today we're diving into the darker side of Hollow Knight. It's no secret that the kingdom of Hallownest was already in turmoil, but the arrival of the Little Knight has left many lives in ruins. From the breaking of the seals of the Black Egg Temple to battling the infected, our tiny hero's actions have had dire consequences. Join me as we uncover the tragic tales of NPCs whose lives were forever altered by the Little Knight's quest. Let's get started. Just a heads up, there will be spoilers about the story and such like that, so if you haven't beaten the game yet, maybe go check out some of my other tutorials and come on back. The first NPC we're going to talk about is Mellaby the banker, or Millaby. I always say that wrong, don't judge me. And so basically the banker can be attacked by the Grimchild the very first time you ever see Mellaby the banker if you have the Grimchild charm attached. Also, she would have been totally just fine having her grift, her little heist, her little whatever you want to call it. She was cheating people out of their money, and she would have been fine just cheating the next person who came along, doing her thing in Hallownest. But the Little Knight had to come along and just ruin that. Well, I mean, granted, we did get cheated. We lost our Geo. She stole from us, but we get our revenge. So her life is ruined because we are able to find her secret hidey place and just beat the ever-living Geo out of her. Okay, even worse than Mellaby is the Nailsmith. The Nailsmith is kind of living as a hermit, doing his thing, making the nails, and using the Little Knight as a way to get materials and build more nails, and of course, amass a ton of Geo, because those nails, he's not helping you out for free. It's costing quite a bit of Geo, right? What does he even do with all that Geo? I have no idea, because by the time the Nailsmith ends up making all of the nails, what's he do? He's ready to end things. He wants to get struck down by the Little Knight, by the perfect nail. And you know what? He basically has no purpose left. Once he sees how terrible things are going in the kingdom of Hallownest, he just says like, why even live? I've made the best nail that I could ever do. So just end me now. Although I do kind of wish he gave us back all that Geo. I mean, he's just gonna get struck down. I mean, what are you gonna do with it? You don't need it anymore, old man. Just pass it on to the next generation. Just saying. Nailsmith didn't have it so good. If the Little Knight never came around, the Nailsmith probably would have just been tinkering around making more nails just to putz around and do whatever. You know what? Maybe he would have found his friend or his soulmate. Next up, we have the Leg Eater, and the Leg Eater is an interesting character because we end up being able to buy all of the Leg Eater's charms, right? But the Little Knight is poking around probably where he shouldn't be, and the Little Knight ends up summoning the Grim Troop. Well, by summoning the Grim Troop, we also bring Divine into the picture. Well, Divine is able to smell the charms that the Leg Eater has created, and eventually, if all of the charms that we get from the Leg Eater go from being fragile to unbreakable, again, with a lot of Geo. Some things just cost so much Geo in this game. Well, if Divine turns all of those charms from fragile to unbreakable, and then you go back to the Leg Eater wants to know what the heck is going on. The Leg Eater will leave his post, leave his little cave, as blind as he is, make his way all the way up to Divine, and ends up being eaten. You can see his, I'm assuming these are the legs, or are these his antlers? I don't know, there's something like that. Whatever these are, it's the remnants of the Leg Eater. Divine just ate him up, just like that. Would not have happened if the Little Knight wasn't around. Just saying. Cloth is an interesting character because Cloth is gonna have a bad time almost no matter what. Whether Cloth gets found by the Little Knight, and when we do find the Little Knight, Cloth kind of confides in us that she wants to be better and stronger and wants to face her fears and fight, right? And so the more times we find Cloth, we give Cloth the courage to fight, which ultimately leads to our fight with the Traitor Lord. Cloth comes in to help out, but ultimately suffers a terrible fate and dies in this fight. Again, wouldn't happen if the Little Knight wasn't going around and getting into things that he shouldn't. And I kind of feel bad for Cloth because even if we didn't do that, Cloth ends up just being kind of sad, lonely, wishing that she had gotten in a fight, wishing that she had proved herself, but I guess she doesn't really know that she's only really wishing death upon herself. So, oh well, Cloth, you're just in for a bad time no matter what. The next NPC, I almost didn't put him on the list because you actually have to kill this NPC, which isn't even actually an NPC. They're an enemy, but you have to kill them in order to get the hunter's mark, and this enemy doesn't even attack you. Almost every enemy in the game will have some sort of move set, an attack. They will come after you in some way, shape, or form, but not this one. The non-violent maggots are just mourning over their brother's death. After you've already gotten the Dream Nail and you've defeated the False Knight, well, before you can get to the Failed Champion, there's these two little, they're non-violent maggots, just, like I said, they're mourning their brother's death, and you kill them to get the Hunter's Mark. They didn't need to be killed. Like, why? Why was that even a thing? We just, again, made their lives worse. This next NPC holds a special place in my heart as being the worst NPC in the game for me, and that's Zote. You can love him, you can hate him, but for me, personally, he destroyed so many of my 5th Pantheon, the Pantheon of Hallownest attempts. I felt like I was doing so good just to have him, his random moves, it just completely crushed me, so I will always have a little bit of dislike towards Zote. And Zote is gonna have a bad time because of us, which actually kind of makes me feel good now that I think about it. Because Zote, you can choose to let him die, you know, if you just never interact with him when the first time you see him while you're walking through Green Path. It makes me a little happy. I feel like that's the canon way to play the game. You let Zote die, and let me know in the comments if you would play it otherwise. The other way is that if you let Zote live, you can get his one admirer, which is Bretta, to eventually hate him and leave him. So either way, no matter what happens with Zote, Zote's life is considerably worse. I mean, maybe he doesn't even understand the way that he talks. Maybe. Speaking of Bretta, if you don't fight the Great Prince Zote, Bretta's basically stuck pining over a loser who literally doesn't notice her whole life. Zote is just gonna talk her ear off, talking about the 57 precepts of Zote. It's all about Zote, 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 and Bretta's kind of into it. She probably wouldn't be into it forever. Eventually, one day, she would hopefully get her eyes open and realize that Zote's not the right dude for her. But at least from what we can see, it's not looking so good for Bretta. But then, the opposite is true, that if you do go ahead and defeat Great Prince Zote a bunch of times, Bretta ends up leaving Dirtmouth to rethink her choices in life, and I don't think that Bretta's gonna make it out there. I don't think she's gonna make it out past the Howling Cliffs, and if she's just like in search of something, I think something's gonna find her, or she's just not gonna be able to fend for herself out in the wild. She's Bretta. She needs some protecting. Zote's not the one to do it. He's not gonna go run after her and go chase after her and make sure she's okay. No, Zote's gonna stay in the city. Zote's not gonna take after her and help Bretta. Bretta's life was ruined either way. Just a quick shout out to CC Mackay. He was looking over this bullet point list that I had set up of all the different NPCs whose lives were made worse, and he definitely called out a couple of them that I missed. So, yo, thank you. I appreciate it. So if I do miss any, let me know in the comments of which NPCs I missed and whose lives are made worse by the Little Knight. Next up, we have the Moss Prophet, who is killed as the infection spreads, and that is solely due to the Little Knight breaking the seals of the 3 Dreamers. The Moss Prophet is just doing his thing. He's just spreading the good word. He's just spreading, I guess, infection, right? Is that kind of what's going on? So maybe he's not doing good, but he thinks he's doing good. You know what I mean? And either way, him and all of his followers end up dying because of the Little Knight. So not so good, you know? And also, Mila suffers a very similar fate to the Moss Prophet. By trying to save the kingdom of Hallownest, we inadvertently destroy the ones that we love the most. Mila was just in the mines, singing, having a grand old time, and then you know what ends up happening? She gets the infection, touch of the infection, and then she starts swinging on us, and you know what? I just don't have it in my heart to put her down. Although that said, there was a time when I was doing a randomizer run, and I killed her on accident, because it was a random enemy. I didn't know. It felt bad, man. Just saying, you never want to kill Milo on accident. You can tell because she's got the little Lumafly in her lantern, and the other enemies, their lanterns are broken. You know what doesn't get made worse by the Little Knight is the new Lenovo Legion 7i 9th generation laptops. The Legion 7i is the perfect laptop for students, as it's more portable and powerful enough for students with their schoolwork especially if you're like taking the STEM classes, and it's powerful enough to be able to have quick battles with your friends like on a lunch break or whatever. This thing is absolutely awesome. Lenovo Legion sent this over and I have had an absolute blast. The Lenovo Legion 9th generation of laptops come in 4 different major models, and that is the 5i, the 5i Gaming, the 7i, and the 7i Pro. And so the Pro gaming laptops are the ones that are like the really high end, but the 5i, it's got a rapid charger, so it'll go from 0 to 100% charge in 80 minutes. It's got tons of slots, 2 USB-C 3.2, a USB-A, headphone and microphone combo, another 2 USB-A, another micro USB card reader. The micro USB card reader, the 3-in-1, is awesome if you've got like a DSLR camera and you've got like the cards, you can just plug them right into this thing. I absolutely love that, especially when I was using my DSLR all the time. It's got everything that you could need. The thing that I really like about the design on these laptops is all of the heater ports on the back, the vents. This pretty much most of the back is just for getting the heat to get away, and that's what lets these things be so powerful. I absolutely love it because then they're not going to overheat. I'm pretty sure if you've had a laptop, you know how much they can like overheat just from sitting on your lap. Like you'll full on get like laptop burns. Not good. Use a link down in the description below, find the laptop that works best for you, and because it's back to school season right now, there are massive discounts for your Lenovo Legion laptop. Go ahead and pick one up today. Why not? Just go pick one up if you need one, you know? Get your gaming on, schoolwork done. That's it. That's all there is. Let's get back to the video. Speaking of Dreamers, they were completely just chilling. They had no issues at all until the little knight came around and decided to break the seals. In fact, the Dreamers, their first dialogue was, would it seek to break the seals? They cannot be undone. They must be undone. Let us sleep, little shadow. Return to your darkness. Allow us our peace. So basically the Dreamers end up getting killed to break the seal. And so the Dreamers, they wanted their peace. At least one of the Dreamers was saying that the seals needed to be undone. But that said, they were just chilling. They weren't getting hurt by the infection. It wasn't until the little knight came in and started murking fools that things got a heck of a lot worse. Speaking of Dreamers getting murdered while they're sleeping, don't know why I'm talking like this, but Hornet ends up getting orphaned because her mother, if you didn't know this, lore spoiler, Hera the Beast is Hornet's mother. So, I mean, I guess you wouldn't know that if you didn't beat the game or if you're just skipping over the dialogue. I skipped over a lot of the dialogue, I'm not gonna lie. So, Hornet, her life is clearly ruined. I mean, maybe not ruined. She knew that this was happening and that it needed to be done. She didn't really like it, though. She wasn't happy about it. She's like, you don't get to choose who your mother is. She didn't want that. But still, it was a hardship that you brought to Hornet specifically. You did this. Next up is an NPC who only shows up dead in Steel Soul, which you can only get the Steel Soul if you've completed the game anyways, so it's kind of your fault. And that's Tuck. If you play Steel Soul and you go find Tuck down in the sewers, Tuck's dead. Like, dead, like all the way gone, all the way dead. And so, yeah, I'm gonna say the little knight, it's your fault. You shouldn't have been messing around. Next up, we have Coral, who uses whatever power's left in his mask, leaving him vulnerable and weak while you go in and defeat one of the Dreamers. So basically, Coral, I mean, would he have been fine without you? I think his life is ruined. It was all the way worse. He was able to go and explore Hallownest. He knew that he needed to help you, but he ends up suffering a terrible fate. I mean, just look at Coral, just sitting over here in the blue lake, chilling, enjoying himself. But as soon as you leave the room and come back, he's gone. Where'd he go? Did he go for a little swim? Is he just holding his breath? Is he coming back? I think Coral's gone. I think he's gone. Coral's not going to be in Hollow Knight 2. You know what I'm saying? Next up in the Royal Waterways, you can show the Fluke Hermit the Fluke Nest Charm. And it's basically like showing the Fluke Hermit that you murdered his mother. I think that's kind of morbid. Basically, the Fluke Hermit finds out that it's now the mother, and it's just not good. Like, nobody wants to find out that way. Like, hey, look, I brought you. It's a piece of your mother. I did this. Like, how terrible. What, like, have you no shame? Have you no mind to think or voice to cry suffering, little knight? I guess not. I guess that's why we're in this mess. Got no mind to think. I think that's the problem. And next up, these two NPCs were living their best life, just chatting, hanging out, just relaxing in the hot spring, probably recovering. But then what happens? Little Knight comes in and just gives them a good old splash, a little splash, 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 splash. You didn't need to do that, Little Knight. Like, they were just chilling, having a good time. And yeah, lives ruined. I mean, at least for the night, you know, they're gonna go home and talk about it. They're like, what was that? What was that about? That was completely unprovoked. Didn't need that at all. In fact, there's another NPC. There is no NPC that can enjoy a hot tub without the Little Knight coming in and splashing all over. Splash, 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 splash. Little Knight. What a rude pool guest. I would never. Okay, maybe I've splashed some people in my day, and maybe I've gone pee in a pool, but that's it. And last but not least, which NPC has their lives ruined by far the most in Hollow Knight? It's gonna be the Elderbug. Elderbug is just chilling out in Dirtmouth, probably seen the rise of Dirtmouth where everybody moved into town. He probably got his little hut for pennies on the dollar. He saw the market increase as more and more people moved in, and then he was around for the housing collapse when everyone left. Just all of Hallownest just completely collapsed. There's nobody around anymore. He couldn't sell his house even if he wanted to. He's just trying to find somebody to talk to at this point. And how does the Little Knight treat the Elderbug? Not even once. He could just keep walking away over and over and over again. Oh, rude. Little Knight, what are you doing? Just talk to him. Just talk to the Elderbug. He's so lonely. You can hear it in his voice. Anybody who does this to the Elderbug is an absolute monster. I mean, he's had a bad time. He's lived a long life. He's so knowledgeable. He's kind of a cool dude. I'm gonna throw in a curveball. I don't have any video of this, but the other NPC that you could probably say had their lives ruined, but also made better, depending on how you see it, is Menderbug. Somebody was gonna say in the comments, I know that you were, I bet you somebody didn't watch to the end and they're like, well, what about the Menderbug? The Menderbug loved his life because the Little Knight was going around destroying signs. Way better because the Little Knight was around. He might accidentally get killed. It might happen. And just like everything on the list, not every one of these things has to happen, has to play out these ways, but almost all of them happen just by playing the game normally. Their lives are ruined. Menderbug, 50-50. You might not ever destroy the Menderbug, and then his life is perfectly happy. So let me know, did I miss any NPCs? Just tell me. Leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Thank you to my members for supporting the channel. I really, really do appreciate it, and I hope to catch you again more real soon. Thanks. Bye.